This is the first Mr. Witcher video that you're going to watch this year, so I hope you're excited. They'll be quite a bit different. My videos are more of reps, going through Schoology style problems and explaining how you answer that particular problem and talking about concepts within the problems that you'll see in Schoology. So I hope that you enjoy this one. Here we go. So in your problem sets, you're going to see questions that look like this, where it gives you two functions. So your first function here is f of x equals 4x to the fourth plus x minus 8x cubed. And then you have a second function that's over here. G of x equals 5x to the fourth minus 7x. And you could have three functions, etc. You're just going to want to look at that and see what it's saying. Now it says, what is f of x minus g of x? So here's our blue function, right? And it's going to be subtracted from our orange function. And then I want you to write your answer in standard form. That means going from the highest exponent to the smallest. And then use shift 6 to write exponents. So for example, instead of x squared, because it might be difficult for you to do this, it wants you to use x, then you hit shift and 6 and it gives you this caret. You can see that right above the 6 on the 6 key in your Chromebook. And then the number 2, and that will represent the same thing as an x squared. So I'll start off by writing out my f of x function over here. So this is going to be my f of x function. And it is 4x to the fourth. I'll put the largest exponents first. Then I'm going to put minus 8x cubed. And again, I did that because I'm putting the largest exponents first. Then I don't have an x squared term, so I'll kind of leave a blank area. Then I have an x term, so plus x. And those are all the terms from this first orange polynomial. Now I'll write my g of x. Again, I'll start with the largest, so 5x to the fourth. I don't have an x cubed. I don't have an x squared. Then I have minus 7x. At this point, I can go ahead and I can subtract these two functions using vertical subtraction, like you would use if you were doing 56 minus 3, right? You would just do it vertically. 6 minus 3 is 3. 5 minus nothing is 5. Same idea over here, except we're doing with polynomials. So I have these two terms in blue that need to be subtracted. So I'm subtracting 5x to the fourth, and I'm subtracting 7x, which is really the same thing as subtracting negative 7x, which is the same thing as adding 7x. So 1x plus 7x is 8x. I don't have an x squared, so I don't have to worry about that term. Then I have a negative 8x cubed. And then I have 4x to the fourth minus 5x to the fourth is negative 1x to the fourth. And again, I don't have to write it because it is the multiplicative identity. So I'll create a text box here. So now that I've written this out by handwriting, if I'm actually typing it in, it's going to look something like this. Negative x, shift 6, that's the caret key, to the fourth, minus 8x cubed plus 8x. So that's what's going to show up in this Schoology box over here, this blank one Schoology box, is where this expression that I've typed out will show up. Here in this next question that I've chosen, again, we have this f of x function right here. We have a g of x function right here in blue. And then this final function is mislabeled. I bulk made about 100 questions, and this g of x shows up twice. So this third term, you'll just have to recognize it as h of x. And then when there's more time in the semester, I'll go back and I'll edit these questions for spirals and things like that. This is an h of x, so just remember that's going to be different. This third term is an h of x because you'll need three separate functions in order to perform the math. So you can see here, at some point we're going to subtract h of x. We're also going to add g of x to f of x. And of course, f of x is our first initial function. So again, we'll end up doing vertical addition and subtraction over here, and I'll show you how that works with these three terms. And we'll organize them from the highest exponent down to the lowest exponent. So I've got this space over here again. We'll start off with 8x squared, because that's my largest exponent for f of x, plus 5x, that's the next largest exponent, minus 3. So you can see my x's, 2, 1, 0. So that's what I'm doing with my exponents. 2, there's nothing here, which represents 1, and there's no x, which represents 0. Then I move on to my g of x, which is 6x, so I put that in the x column, minus 7x to the fourth. So over here, we have minus 7x to the fourth. There's no cubed in this one. There was no fourth or cubed in the first one. And then I have minus 1. Then for my g of x, I have 7x to the fourth. And then I have this plus 8x. So that will go here in the x column again. And I am through. So now I need to make sure that I'm reading what the operations are in between these polynomials. So f of x, this top row, which was f of x, right, is going to be added to g of x. So those will be combined just like normal. Nothing plus negative 7x to the fourth, negative 7x to the fourth. Then between g of x and h of x, I'm actually subtracting. So I need to subtract everything on the bottom line. So minus 7x to the fourth plus minus a plus 8x, which becomes just a minus 8x. So now that I've got this set up, I'll do it. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. 5x plus 6x is 11x. Minus 8x is 3x. I have 8x squared. There's nothing else in that column to operate with it. There are no x cubed, so I can leave that out. And I have negative 14x to the fourth. So as was mentioned previously, I need to still type this in using carets. So here's a text box to kind of show you what we're doing. I've got negative 14x to the fourth power plus 8x squared plus 3x minus 4. So that will be the text that we're looking for as we input that into the Schoology blank. So this blank 1 over here is where we're going to input that, and that's the way that you're going to type it in. So again, remember to use those caret symbols. Well, guys, there's a couple examples of what those problems look like. You'll have two expressions for some. You'll have 3 expressions for others. And again, you need to watch what the operator is. Good luck, and I think you'll do great.